Exposed my stepsister for stealing my fiancé. Now her marriage is over and my parents cut me off. I, 27F, got married 2 weeks ago. I planned the entire thing myself and received a lot of praise from my guests about how beautiful and perfect everything looked, which was nice. My stepsister, 26F, couldn't stand it, though, and had been telling everyone that I stole my ideas from her. She's always been jealous of me, so I wasn't surprised by this in the slightest, but I did feel really annoyed by it. Some family members of mine have a big mouth and started asking me if I really had stolen my ideas from my stepsister, which was really unfair since I hadn't done anything of the sort. My stepsister has a history of lying about me to make herself look better, and I'd had enough of it, honestly. My mother married her father when we were 16 and we've hated each other's guts ever since. I'd tried to be her friend at first, but she'd never accepted it and always tried to turn everything into a competition, which got under my skin. One time, she spread a rumor about me in high school that I used to hit on her boyfriend after I was picked at the cheerleading tryouts and she wasn't, just to get back at me. That led to almost a month of all the girls hating me and making fun of me except for a few. That's the kind of person my stepsister is. For so long, I'd always let things slide since I knew that she was doing it just to get on my nerves, and if I reacted badly then she'd win. But this time around, I couldn't just let it go because I'd spent weeks and weeks planning my wedding. She couldn't just swoop in and discredit me after all that I'd done to make my wedding as beautiful as possible. I know it was petty, but as soon as I got to know that she'd been telling people that I stole her ideas, I decided to call her up and give her a piece of my mind. I told her that she needed to stop saying it, since even though she knew that it wasn't true, she laughed in my face, called me a sore loser, and hung up. So I decided to expose her and her husband as the cheaters and liars that they really were to the rest of our family. For context, her current husband, 30M, used to be my boyfriend. When I was 23, I used to live with my parents and stepsister because I was saving money to move out eventually. That's when I met my ex-boyfriend at work and I fell in love almost instantly. However, he wanted our relationship to be top secret and didn't even allow me to tell my friends out of work, which, in hindsight, should have raised some red flags. After just 2 months of dating, I decided to bring him home to meet my parents, and obviously, my stepsister met him as well. I didn't notice it at the time, but she'd been overly flirtatious and cute around him, but I'd never even imagined that my ex would stab me in the back and cheat on me with her. I guess that's around the time that they started texting each other behind my back, but I was blissfully unaware of the sparks between them and continued to date him and fall for him even more. After almost a year of dating, I decided that I wanted to marry him and I proposed to him. It was unorthodox, but I loved him so much that I just couldn't wait around for him to propose to me and took it upon myself. So I took him out for a fancy dinner at a high-end restaurant and all of that, but at the end of the night, when I finally did pop the question, he said that he needed time to think about it. I wish he'd just broken up with me right then and there, but he dragged our relationship on for 3 more months instead, all the while cheating on me with my stepsister. I was upset that he'd rejected my first proposal, but I still stayed with him, hoping that I'd eventually be able to change his mind. We finally broke up when 3 months after my proposal, he confessed to me that he was in love with my stepsister and wanted to be with her instead. And as if that wasn't enough, he told me that she was 3 months pregnant, so she'd start showing in a couple weeks, which is why they decided to get married at the earliest as well. I was hysterical and got into a huge fight with my stepsister, but our parents intervened and forbade me from speaking about this as they were afraid of the family's image being ruined by this scandal, as my stepdad was reasonably popular. I had no option but to obey them since I was living with them at that point. They had a small and simple wedding ceremony in our backyard with a few close friends and family members, and then, my stepsister moved in with my ex. I didn't attend the wedding, obviously, and spent the entire week leading up to the wedding in a cheap motel room, doing nothing but drinking and eating. A few weeks after the wedding, I decided that I'd saved up enough money to be able to rent a place of my own and moved out as well. But that did nothing for my mental health and I went into a deep depression. I would just eat, drink, and sleep all day, and I'd even quit my job since I just couldn't bring myself to get out of bed anymore. However, I still did have a friend who was looking out for me, and that was my current husband. He and I had been close friends since high school, but I'd never seen him as a romantic figure because he was mostly known for being the class clown. For several weeks after the wedding, I skipped every party hosted by my friends and refused to respond to any calls or texts. I thought they'd forget about me since they were all busy with their own lives, but he didn't. He was the only one who bothered to find out where I lived from my parents and showed up at my house. He took care of me for the next few weeks even though I was mean and distant. He never left my side even for a second in those crucial few weeks and helped me get back on my feet. Hell, he even paid the bills for me since I didn't have any money after I quit my job. I literally owe my life to my husband and I'm going to be eternally grateful for what he did. Anyway, after a few weeks, I did end up telling him all about what had happened with my ex and my stepsister, and he consoled me then. We never formally got together, he simply moved in with me after a while and that was that. We never felt the need to address it, and even today, we joke that he never even asked me out. But whatever, that was what had happened, and I thought that it was about time that the rest of the family also found out about what had actually happened. I did discuss my plan to expose them with my husband first, though, and he was very supportive of it. He told me that after everything my stepsister and my ex had put me through, it was totally reasonable for me to want to tell everyone the truth.